kind of a fundamentalist religious person, and reads the Bible all the time, and he's he's always he's getting a little bit of dementia, but because he'll always tell me these recipes. That's all he ever tells me is his recipes. Then he leans forward and he whispers, and he looks both ways. He says, and then we put some pepper in it or whatever. And I'm saying, what's the big secret here? But anyway, he's so matter of fact, that it's just unbelievable. So anyway, when I have a dream about my father or a father, I am thinking it's the patriarchal logos. And it usually has, I don't ever make it literal. So anyway, we come from the, our male parent was half, he was almost a master shaman of the bulls. He had an upper body that was bull-like, but it seemed to make him in this day and age, it made him a hunted figure. He wasn't respected at all, for that bull side of himself, And so then we find out that we're descended from the bull, from the master bull shaman. What does that mean? What does that mean that we have been descended from the master bull shaman? What is the bull? The bull is a very ancient mythical figure that represents pretty much the pre-Aries age of Taurus, And again, the figure is very, unlike Pan, who's who's the man that's half horse?
Saturn.
Yeah, he's the horse, the Pan and the what's his name again?
Satyr, Satyr.
Yeah,
Satyr.
Well, the man that's the horse above, and the horse below, and the horse and the man above. He is. They have their upper body human and their lower body, and it's like the mermaids. Their upper body's human and their lower body's a fish. Where the Egyptians tended to make the head area, the animal side, and as the Minotaur, which I believe is from Crete, and Crete worshipped the bulls. If you go and look at the pictures, like from Thessalonian places, I mean, it's just bulls, and these men could leap over the bulls. They would stand there and wait till the bull ran to them, and then they would leap over them on like a flip. But anyway, the bull, and let's think of Mithra too. What's the religious rite in Mithra? He slays the bull, and around him are snakes and dogs, as he slays it. And he would, they would sacrifice the bull on top of a grate, and then all the initiates would be below the grate and have the blood come down on them, And so anyway, the bull symbol is, is a very ancient symbol. And now compare that too, Charles, with your dream about Isis, who's pretty much your mother, isn't she? What do you think about
mythologically,
that,
my personal myth, my mother basically is Isis.
Well, your mother is Isis and your father is the Minotaur. What do you think about that?
It just makes me think, well, what does that make me?
Well, okay. I think the fact that that you have such a you are almost like Yellowstone. I mean, you're living above this uh, a great magma thing, where there's a lot of things coming up, but um, up till now, and this is not atypical of anybody, we're not really um, moving into personality number 2 with it. I mean, we're still trapped or imprisoned in our own ego, and we're not using it for transformational purposes. I mean, but I think you are, to some extent, with the ISIS dream. I don't think that's ever going to go away from you. So as to a certain extent, you already have one foot in the other world, don't you think? I mean, you've told me that, Charles.
Yeah, I would say that, yeah, I do. I have a problem with like kind of going both feet into one world or the other, though. I'm either like jump totally into the inner world or jump totally into the outer world. It's balancing is difficult.
I think the fact that we had such a powerful vision of ISIS, and then when we came back to the world, the regular world, it felt like we were climbing back into a wet bathing suit. And I mean, it's sort of like someone who'd experienced death and didn't want to leave, and then comes back, and now everything here seems pretty ordinary, but anyway, it's something, Charles, we might want to have a separate session to discuss that, but I'd like to hear what Gary and Roy and Sarah have to say about it. Now let's go over again that you see a figure walking down the street that is a minotaur, and then the men come in to chain it, to put it in chains, sort of the the conscious world needs to chain this. Now, this is very similar to Ivan's dream, where they need to shackle this figure of the depths when it's in consciousness. So if you found the minotaur in the labyrinth where it belongs, nobody would want to chain it because that's where it belongs. But walking down the street, no, the minotaur does not belong here. So the ego attitude is trying now. The one who's really trying to chain it is you, Charles, or us. Our conscious attitude is trying to chain it and to subdue it and not let it thrive. We don't want. It's like the ET dreams. Ego consciousness is threatened by having this fabulous being in ego consciousness. It's like, who was it that told you ET is here and you didn't know it? I mean, suddenly here's the minotaur and you didn't know that either. And then, so some aspects of our consciousness are trying to subdue it and just jam it into the ground. Then you find out it's your father. Okay. Well, I mean, that means our mother is Isis and our father's the Minotaur. And so I would say that would tell me that I'm a pretty special child if my mother is Isis and my father is the Minotaur, And then now, could you just remind us of how it ends?
After they kind of take hold of him by the chains and slam him down, I kind of break down crying because of how painful it was to me. But then it turns out that it all just happened on a computer screen, and I had just been watching a video, and
this was all on a computer screen.
Yeah, I watched all this with the Minotaur go down on a computer screen in some house. I guess my family was at, and I told them, "Wow, you wouldn't believe the crazy video I just saw."
Yeah. Okay. Well, now that's pretty much thematic of the previous dream. How about you, Gary? What do you think about this?
Well, I've got kind of a different take on this stream. To me, the Minotaur is sort of the, the hairy beast. It's the, it's the instinctual side of us. It's the unconscious, but it's also, a very important part of us that has to be, integrated and allowed to be given expression and, to be like a part of us. And, and of course, in our society, I think it's a huge problem. But the Minotaur being, captured in these chains and then, basically thrown, headfirst to the ground, shows that the instinctual side of you is being severely thwarted. So then it changes to the father figure. And to me, that's like a representation of like, there's a creative aspect there. It's saying that, this is something that if it wasn't being thwarted, this would give birth to like a male aspect. And so, you see this and, you have the proper reaction. The proper reaction is grief. But then what happens is that you realize that, oh my gosh, you're just seeing this on a computer screen. And to me, this shows that your view of this is just, it's still extremely in the abstract. You haven't been able to reach to that level and get to the instinctual. And so, the perception of it now is only intellectual rather than experience. And the necessity is for it to be experienced, not intellectualized. And of course, and I think that's one of the main problems that we have anyway. And just like, the Young study anyway, is that, so much of it is, it's not grounded. It's, the thought is that we can understand it intellectually, whereas if you look at like the Red Book, which is the whole basis of the entire psychology, that was like, this continuous experience, which he eventually interpreted into a psychology. But the important thing here is that we have to have the experience. And to me, it's that, when you saw that in the computer screen, it was like, no, you're just intellectualizing this. It's got to be experienced. And, when you see in the father figure, the loss of a male aspect that might come to be, and, something in you is throttling the instinctual elements of like, I don't know, like competitiveness or rage or, whatever, that are actually, needed in your life right now.
Yeah. And just before we have Roy here, but I just want to remind us of King David's encounter with God, the book. Okay. And then when you put it on the table in front of you, it turns into a video screen, and it says that that video games should not be played because they make the situation become more chaotic and they increase your chance of losing. And the pure unconditional love is the key. But anyway, and then the ancestral world, let's not even talk about the father, but the ancestral world is, its upper half is very aligned with nature for our father side. What do you think, Roy?
I really like what Gary said. I relate to a lot of stuff he said about the instinctual. What was Charles? What was your father like? Was he instinctual at all? Or can you relate any of the traits of the Minotaur to your father?
Not really. Other than I was, as a little kid, I was always kind of like intimidated by his physical presence because he was pretty tall, kind of big, had a big gray beard. That's the only distinction I can really like draw to the idea of the Minotaur. Like, he was like quite a physical presence, and I guess that does actually kind of feel, I don't know, that rings very true and feels right to me for some reason.
Yeah, well, it doesn't sound like you knew him very well.
No, I did not.
You didn't know the human aspect of him. And the people that attacked the Minotaur didn't know the human aspect of him. They looked at him like a monster. And so maybe you didn't know your father. And, you know, that's like, that's a very, a huge obstacle towards knowing yourself. And then there's the question of masculinity. I think something that Gary was talking about. One of the movies that I really like a lot about masculinity is No Country for Old Men. No Country for Old Men. I don't know if you saw it or not. It was filmed in Texas with Tommy Lee Jones. He had two dreams in there. I don't know if you remember them. He would be at the breakfast table and he would tell his wife his dreams. Even if he wouldn't, he was a real crudmudgeon. She'd sort of get it out of him. And the first dream was he was given a lot of money as a young man, and he spent it all. And he didn't have anything. And then the second dream was his father had the light horn, which is a very powerful object, like a ram's horn where they carried hot coals in it, the cowboys, to light the campfire on up the trail. And his father was going on up the trail to have the fire, and the son would meet him later. And this tells you a lot about masculinity, about what men are, you know, how in old age, if they do get in touch with their spiritual part, real spirituality, the light, they go on up ahead for us with the light, and we'll meet up with them because we have to make our mistakes and fumble in the darkness. And they were very powerful dreams, and tells you a lot about masculinity.
And you see the matador. What does the matador do? You know, I mean, the matador is this very masculine figure who, you know, can subdue the bulls. And, Jesus. Darn dog. I'm just going to show you some of these pictures of, let's see, of Picasso's Minotaurs. You know, he was just someone who painted the Minotaur, you know, quite a bit, you know. So anyway, wait, I went too far fast. But, you know, he was painting the Minotaur, and because he thought of himself as a Minotaur, okay? And what it says, you know, about what he said is, he says that he perceived himself as a Minotaur, the expression of the power of irrationality and the force of the unconscious, a creature of huge physical power and sexual energy, which suited his need for expressing the male principle in all of its glory. He somehow saw the battle in Corrida through the prism of his relationships, the archetypal image of the struggle between Eros and Thanatos. You don't know who's Thanatos? That is the god of death. So it's the battle between Eros, you know, sort of this Dionysian world and the world of death. You know, But anyway, I mean, that's getting a little far afield.
Mhm.
But it's sort of a little bit of a background on what it would mean to have the father be the Minotaur. Sarah, do you have any comments about it? Or not?
Sir, you're muted if you are
Yeah.
commenting.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I actually, I would like to. Is this written down anywhere? Because I don't see it in the chat or
Yeah.
in the
Could you put it
emails. I
in the
would like to read
chat?
it over a little bit.
Yeah, I could type it up real quick.
Yeah. Yeah, why don't you type it up real
I
quick?
really did like. I really liked what Roy and Gary were both saying, though. It gave that feel to me too about the masculine energy, and then how it turns into your father, some sort of representation of maybe an undeveloped part of your masculinity. I don't know.
Mhm.
It's really interesting how it turned into your father. I think that's really interesting. But maybe this is how you see men almost as animalistic, kind of, maybe more aggressive, you know.
Great. That is great. It's now for one thing is that is an aspect of the say our father is somewhat brutish. You know, there's an aspect of our
Right.
father that is rather um, that we see them either now. Usually, what the dream does is it compensates a lack in ego consciousness. So if it says that your father should be more bull-like, I mean, it would have been better for you to recognize that your um, uh, genealogy, in some extent, came from the bulls, from the bull man, from this masculine
Yeah.
energy. Yeah, that you're not able to express very well in
Or
these.
maybe that you're afraid of being like that. You know how
Yes.
at first it was chained up. Like maybe that's something that you're afraid to have be part of yourself. You haven't accepted, or maybe you don't want that to be part of yourself. Uh, but at the same time, part of you, you cried, so part of you does long for that as well.
Well, and often, and we just saw this in Ivan's dream, is when the unconscious manifests in the conscious world, ego consciousness tries to defang it. You know, it either tries to shackle it or hobble it, or in this case, I think that actually Charles was there was an aspect of Charles that was secretly participating in this chaining of the Minotaur the Minotaur parentage, and
Right.
yeah, and I just had read this dream. If Ivan was here, I would have mentioned it, but it was this dream that a woman had in visions, and this is a book I'd like us to start in maybe every end of last week of the month, because it really is a commentary on the black books and the red book. This was people said if you really wanted to read Jung's commentary on the red book, you go to the vision seminars, because he's using this Christiana Morgan's visions as sort of a vehicle for his commentary on his own visions. But the dream was that this woman was with a mole and a canary bird, and he'd cut the claws off of both, and she was afraid she cut them too short. And someone said the mole goes deep down into the earth. And she took the canary out of his cage. It didn't fly away. She expected that it would. And so the object is that the mole, which goes deep into goes very, very deep, she has taken away its ability to go deep, and this is similar to shackling the Minotaur, and is similar to shackling this other character. Well, anyway, why don't we? I think why don't we go to Gary's dream and let's think about this one a little bit? Because I mean, you know, I really the more I can think about the dreams, the better. Unless anybody else has any more comments, but why don't we go back to it? And I'm going to.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's in the chat now if you guys want to read it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's.
Thanks, Charles.
Yeah, let's go back to it. But let's go through Gary's dream because we hadn't finished that one yet. All right. Let me see. We got it here. Okay. All right. Here we go. All right. So in Gary's dream, now he's bicycling. Now I got a little better sense of this after you sleep on it a couple of days. So I've kind of a little more sense of the geography of where we are and where we came from and where we're going. Okay. The dream ego bicycles over to the anima's house because it wants to go on a journey or a trip with the anima. And so, it's on this two-wheeled vehicle with the round wheels that are pedaled by, we provide the energy for it. And we're going to this, the bridge to the other world, the oneness that fascinates and, causes us to, it's something that we lack. So, as the woman tends to lack animus, men lack anima. So they're naturally like a magnet attracted to the polar opposite, and plus the fact that it has everything that we don't have. It has, it's a being tied to the earth. It awakens an image within us, and that is represents both the life force and love, within us. And so it isn't so much, focused on the projection. It's what we're projecting is our life and is our love. And, Jung says to awaken the feminine in ourself rather than trying to find it in the outer world. In other words, to awaken the feminine in the inner world, usually through active imagination, and as the woman would do the animus. But anyway, we went to the other side too. We had to cross a river to get there. So we came from ego's house to the house of the anima, and we had to cross a river to get there. So we've really crossed the middle plane between ego consciousness and the inner world. So we're in the inner world now. Okay. So anyway, then this convenient excuse comes up. The weather looks like rain. She says that I must get a raincoat if she's to go riding with us. Because we, we're not going. It's just let's just say. So he agrees. The dream ego agrees, and it's going to return to its own house. And I just, wanted to repeat the, what, let's see, what Jung said about this chaotic return to your own home, where he says the home is the symbol for ourselves. It's the symbol of individuation. She's going home to return to herself, and that it is a goal explains why she is terribly anxious about getting there. But she is in doubt whether she has enough oil and petrol the means of getting there. Oil and petrol are absolutely necessary to get there, which is, this liquid energy. So anyway, let's go back to Gary's dream again. And again, I'm just trying to establish a little bit of the geography here. I hope I'm not getting too confusing here, but so now we're going to have to go home. Why are we going home? Is because we need we are in the anima's world. It's going to rain. We're not protected from the rain. We need to get more ego persona on us to protect us from the rain near the anima's house. We can't really exist in the anima's house when the unconscious is falling from the heavens and go on a bicycle ride. I mean, there's some, and it's excuse, but it never does rain, so it's kind of an excuse. And what happens after that is we're forgetting all about the bike ride, and so the interaction with the anima doesn't take place because of the danger of the water, the unconscious coming from above. And so we need to get back to the departure point and return with more protection next time so we don't get soaked. And so now here's the dream again. We're going back to the dream. Either the dream ego is somewhat lost, or the house is quite a ways away, which seems like it's a surprise to us, But I think that we became disoriented when we're in the anima's world here. I mean, it's sort of like being Parsifal and can't find the Grail Castle, or, the kingdom of the Father is spread upon the earth, but men don't see it. Our eyes can't find the way to go. Now, the only way we can find the way to go is for the unknown to tell us. And it does tell us. It says that someone or something told us the way. So ego didn't know the way. So ego doesn't know the way to return to ourselves after we've been in the unconscious. Ego doesn't know the way. But an unknown someone or something does know the way. And it says that suggests a path. Okay. No, we forgot about the interstate highway. Let's see. Yeah, the ride on a busy interstate bridge. Okay. Now, ego prefers not to return via the collective function. Okay. Now, and I was going to bring this up in Ivan's dream, is that the reason the man in shackles, when he runs into the group of people and starts to go down the stairs, so he's descending from the dominant function. As we go down into the more inferior functions, our ego disappears. Because the ego can only crystallize in the dominant function. And so as we go descend into the less conscious functions, the differentiated ego becomes more and more tribal-like, more and more a part of the participation mystique, So the reason our ego is so differentiated is because it is strong, this stronghold in the dominant function. And when it has to go down in the other functions, it becomes collective, And so now the ego just disappears, as it goes down into the less and less conscious functions. So the man in shackles runs through crowds of people. We're yelling, "It's a fugitive! It's a fugitive!" And they don't care, because they don't see that, that differentiation anymore. That this is a fugitive and I'm not. There's this aspect of that particular quality disappears. But anyway, so uh, so we're lost. We can't find our way back. And again, that this unknown someone or something knows the way. A path, not an interstate highway. A path is something that's trod by people. You know, they always have these pictures in a university or something where the engineers put sidewalks in, but they're everybody cuts across. You know, so there's these paths that form. You know, and there's no grass there. So the path is the way of the Tao. This is the way that things flow, not on interstate highways. Okay. So the ego knew that the interstate highway, first of all, is so collective that it loses its differentiation. And we can see that in the tunnel bridge, how it's holding on to conscious attitude when it hugs the right, you know. Okay. So then you see, so you can, it's a steep hill, descending a steep hill to a pond, a more controlled um, reservoir of the unconscious, and then goes to a river, but you're not sure whether it crosses the river. So as you go down, farther down, you see a small old bridge, but it's really a round tunnel, you know. And we go down there and we begin to cross. And this is more amenable to consciousness than that sort of the interstate highway that just takes away our ego consciousness because it's so collective, you know. So this is a little more amenable to consciousness. And it's actually a round tunnel, and its crossing is dangerous because you're worried about what's going to come from the other side. And so you hug the right side because you're worried about what's going to come down the left side and that it's going to obliterate consciousness. So we're hugging the right side. And it's a narrow trail. It's not a wide trail. So it's a trail for just one, you know, not a trail for many, you know. And then as you go to the apex of the bridge, you notice that there's a hole, and that anything coming from the land of the ego consciousness over to the land of the anima can't get there because it's going to drop down the hole. Not on this bridge. It's going to drop down the hole. So there's this thing that it can't come over that way. You know, there's an aspect that you can't, not on this bridge. You won't be able to go because you'll fall down the hole. So you can't come over to this world on this bridge. You can only go back. So it's a kind of a one-way bridge, you know. And so one-way bridges are pretty interesting. You can only go one direction on it. You know, can you imagine a bridge that was a one-way street? You know, it's the only bridge there is. You know, so then as we go along, so I'm assuming that we're almost across the bridge, we come across a group of cyclists resting. Are they resting on the bridge, Gary, or they're on the other side?
They're still in the bridge, in the tunnel.
They're still in the bridge, but they're resting in the bridge. So it must be a pretty long bridge. But anyway, they seem prepared for journeys. They're also returning from the other world, from the world of the anima, and they have panniers, so they must have been here for quite some time. They're familiar with the land of the anima, and they're discussing setting up a camp in the land of ego consciousness after they get back. You know, and you're thinking of inviting them to stay with you. Okay, well, what about the bike ride with the anima? You know, that's been kind of forgotten about. But the idea here now is that you know that these people have been in the land of the anima. they seem to have been there a long time because they took provisions. And so now the ego has a longing to be with these people, you know, because there's some kind of a affinity with them, you know. And let's see, one of them may be injured. So, you know, that usually is, if one of them are injured, that kind of is like, I was hearing about, sometimes we can't get into the other world unless we are injured, you know, like St. Paul had a thorn in his foot. You know, there's this aspect of, if you really want to communicate with the other side, you know, like some of the shamans were blind, you know, if you have some infirmity, you're usually more permeable to the other side, you know. And so the one that might be injured, of course, was he injured bike riding, or is he just have a disability?
You know, no idea. I just felt
Yeah.
that might be the case. I didn't see anything that indicated it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, anyway, just to so there's this. So anyway, what we're seeing is we went over to the realm of the anima from the ego consciousness, and we're there, and there's a threat of being soaked with the unconscious because the ego is not properly protected, and the anima kind of senses that that's not going to be good, you know. So now we're going to return to ourselves after visiting the world of the anima, but the ego doesn't know the way back, not in this realm. You know, they need the help of a horse from the Grail castle, and so someone unknown or has told us what path to go, and then we come to a round tunnel, you know, and it seems to be a tunnel that only goes from the world of the anima to the world of ourselves, and because we can't live in the realm of the anima, we're alive, you know. We can visit her, but we can't stay there. But it looks like it's how did we get there in the first place is the question I have, you know. But anyway, what do you think, Roy? I don't know how I kind of just confused everybody, I think.
Oh, I was just looking at cycle, a series of events that are regularly repeated in the same order. So I really like what you said, Craig. Man, you really got a lot of good stuff coming here. I was thinking of the word cycle, and I have this thing about Gary's done this before. He's going around in a regular series of events that are repeated in the same order. This is the individuation thing that he's trying to do, and maybe the other cyclists are doing the same thing, but they're tired, and one of them's injured. This is a very difficult thing to do. This cycling, this individuation, it's not easy. And he could identify with these other cyclists, and that's what they're trying to do. And hell, what else can you do? He let some unknown thing said, okay, I'm not going to take the interstate. You know, he's using his intuition. He's trying. You know, what else can you do? He's probably going to have to make some more cycles, but it's admirable. I mean, that's what I'm seeing.
How about you, Sarah? Do you have any thoughts on this one?
I like what you guys said. I don't really have anything to add right now.
Okay. All right. Often we say we don't have anything to add, and then we talk for 10 minutes. But you were honest. What do you think, Charles?
I think Roy brought up a really cool point about the cycling. Seems like maybe the like the bicycle or the wheel could be like a symbol of circumambulation. And yeah, and the idea of the path that he has to take back to the normal world, like, yeah, it makes me think of the Grail Castle and how the drawbridge like comes up like right behind Parsifal as he crosses it. Like this idea of, you know, not being able to turn around, and also the bridge makes it a hidden passage, like since it's a tunnel, and I'm not sure exactly what to make about that, but there's a, you know, it's a veiled crossing. But yeah, it really, it seems like it's a, you know, it's very much like a circumambulation type dream, because even from the fact of the beginning that he has to, I mean, he's planning on returning. He's gonna ride his bike home and then ride it back to the Anima's house in a sort of cycle. Just that this time around, he needs a raincoat. And the idea of needing the raincoat to not be saturated by the unconscious, riding on the right side of the bridge, like kind of, you know, clinging to the right side of it. Just, you know, yeah, there's a little bit of symbolism there with, you know, balancing between the conscious attitude and being soaked by the unconscious. It's, I don't know, it's a really cool dream. I don't have any like conclusive things to add, but I think we're making some work on what some of the symbols are about.
Yeah. What can you recall the raincoat people?
Oh yeah, that was that dream where all the armed men were trying to take me away in their tank, and you know, once we get going, they want to take a hard right, and I bail out and go hard left to the raincoat people that were down in the vault.
Yeah, isn't that interesting that there's the raincoat people? I mean, that was such an interesting image that there is a group of people that wear raincoats all the time. Why would you wear a raincoat all the time? You know, and be called the raincoat people. I mean, it's this idea that I think this is that as Gary hugs the right side of this tunnel, the raincoat allows us to remain to retain our role as this Archimedean point, differentiated, very highly conscious Archimedean point of the inner world. Because if we sink into the participation mystique of the unconscious, we're not any use at all to the anima. You know, we've just become another unconscious figure. So I think that if you're going to be in the realm of the anima, you've got to remember that there's always a threat of rain. So you should be a raincoat person when you come here. Now, the other thing is that I liked what Charles said, is that after the drawbridge clicks Parsifal's horse's heels and it makes it trip, it says, "Begone, you goose," you know, and then he hears from everybody, including his mother's sister, from the Amfortas. By the way, what does Amfortas mean? It means the infirm one, the wounded one. Okay, one of these characters is wounded or has a thing. So Amfortas is the wounded one. St. Paul was the wounded one. You know, I mean, these people who have these infirmities seem like they are the conduit for being permeable to the other world. Okay, so anyway, what they said about the Grail Castle, which is exactly like the tunnel, that apparently we thought there'd be people coming back towards the Grail Castle. You can't get there from there. You'll drop down the hole. You can only go on the right side, on the conscious side. You can't come to this realm on the unconscious side. Now, that is why you need a raincoat, okay? Because if you can't protect the ego consciousness when you're in the realm of the anima, you might as well just drop down that hole, you know, because you're not going to be able to be of any use to this realm, okay? You need to be a raincoat person, you know. You need to retain your ego conscious. You need to be Prometheus, you know, where Prometheus steals the fire but retains his humanity and won't give in to the gods. And that's pretty much what Jung did. You know, he doesn't go crazy like the people of the Bergolzi, and he doesn't get megalomania like Nietzsche did. You know, he's a raincoat person. He is a person who wants to communicate with the anima, wants to reach out to her and go to her realm and to commune with her, but he needs to protect his differentiated individual consciousness. You know, I was hearing somebody talk just as a little bit of an aside, and then we'll hear it a little bit more. But you know, somebody said that once there was an ego consciousness, we don't have a species anymore of Homo mythicus. That once we are conscious, there is nothing like us in the universe. Okay, we have transcended biology, you know, and become this other creature who is now one is a totally unique being. You can't identify it with a genus or a family or a species anymore, because it's become really sort of you know, it's just become this unique being in the universe. And that's if you didn't have ego consciousness, that couldn't happen. Then we would be, you know, probably best word is tool making man, you know, Homo habilis. That's what they should really call us, you know. Homo sapiens, just emphasizing the thinking function. Homo mythicus, the symbol making aspect of ourselves. But anyway, it's just funny that the Grail Castle you cannot return once you've left. Not on this tunnel. You're going to have to do it by magical means again. You know, somehow Gary got there, and we don't know how, but he can't. The only way he can find his way back is through some unknown something or someone giving us the directions. Just something about the collective way is not that I don't know. You know, it sort of destroys the magic of the relatedness between anima world and the ego world. To think there would be an interstate highway connecting to it, that certainly is not. There's just this aspect of it that's it has a profaning, blaspheming quality to it, you know. But anyway, you know, I would, if you don't mind, Charles, I'd like to consider your dream next, either we'll have an individual session or do it next time, because I want to think about it a little bit. You know, does anybody else have a dream? Either Roy or Sarah or Dawn, they want to share? I mean, just so we can get started on it. I kind of like this idea of getting a night to think about a dream, don't you? That if we can think about it a little bit, I think we can be a little more useful. Do you got a dream, Sarah?
I do have a dream.
Great.
I don't have it written up, like typed up yet, but I can
Yeah,
at
sure.
least talk about it.
Go right ahead.
See here.
And we will, Charles, we're going to work on your dream really hard, but I just feel I can't do much more than what we've talked about already. You know?
I like being able to think about a dream for a while.
Yes.
It's nice to like kind of let it sink in and, you know, feel it over.
You remind me of, I don't know if you ever heard of the Roaches, but one of their songs says, I make sure the words I say are true. And
right.
I kind of get that feeling from you, Sarah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So we'll start on this dream. I had this dream right after I shared my last dream. And it starts off at the ocean. And I'm with a male and a female. And the woman stays to my left side the whole time, and the man is staying to my right side the whole time in this whole dream. So it starts off, we're at the ocean, and to our left side, there's this giant mound that goes above the ground, and it's covered in grass. And when we look at it, there's a door that goes into this mound. Okay, so the door is, we're looking at the door, and it's made out of stone. And it says on the door not to enter, and that there would be a penalty for entering, and it was forbidden. So we're upset that we can't go in the door. We're really curious. We want to know what's in there. And we notice that to the right of the door, that part of the mound was crumbling, leaving a small hole. And we realize we can enter through the hole, and that we somehow would not get into trouble if we don't enter through the door. Like we're being sneaky, and we're not going to get into trouble because we're not going through the door. So, you know, we found another way, then it's okay, you know? So we go inside of this hole, and there's this huge, like we're in a room, and there's this huge amount of bags of gold coins, like tons of this treasure. And the whole room is just completely full. So we wonder why the bags of money, all these gold coins, would be left there and hidden. We walk to the back of that room, and there's a door to the left, and it goes into the hallway where the door would have led into. And so then we start going to the left down this hallway, and it's this long hallway. We realize that we're in like a spaceship. We're inside of a spaceship that must have crashed like thousands of years ago. So we're walking down this hallway to the left, and this whole hallway, and it's shaped like an egg. The spaceship is black, and it's shaped like an egg. And so on this left side of this long curved hallway are all of these beds. So we continue down this, and I notice on the first bed that there's a body of a woman, and she is curled up with her arms around her legs, lying on her right side. Her skin is dark blue, and her hair was long and black, and it's covering her face. And it makes me a little nervous, but we continue down the long row of beds, almost goes the whole length of the ship. At the end of the row, we finally come to a partition or wall. And again, in the last bed, there's another woman. And she looks like the other, only she is lying on her back. And she looks more like 3D. She looks more beautiful, almost looks alive to me. And her hair is covering her face again as well. And I feel sad for her. And we continue to the right of the ship. Now it's curving. It's like the top of the egg, and it's starting to curve into the right side of the ship. So now things get kind of blurry for me, and the male figure goes into that side of the ship that's with me. He continues down there, and I don't really understand what's going on. It's kind of blurry, but I can kind of sense what's going on for him. And he's like in this giant cafeteria, and he's met with some more of these like blue people, but they're males, and they're angry, and he like has to fight his way out to get back to me and the other girl. So he fights his way out back into the right side, and I mean back into the left side, sorry. And then I become aware, and then I'm, back to myself, and like I'm aware, and it's not blurry anymore. And we start to walk back out the way we came. But I notice that the bed with the last woman that I saw was empty. So she's not there anymore. And I'm just like, oh no. And we kind of look at each other and we're like, let's get out of here. So we start to hurry back down the hall, back towards the way we came in. And about halfway there, the woman starts like, she's running right up to me, and she's screaming, and she's like a banshee. I can see her face now, and she's just screaming and like coming at me really fast. Right. And she comes right up to me, right to my face. And it's like my hair is like being blown back. She's just like screaming right in my face. And she's like really upset. But not like, my first instinct is to like run away, but I decide that I'm not afraid, and I just want to help her calm down. So I put my hands on her shoulders, and I have to use a lot of strength to kind of hold her away from coming to me. And she's continuously screaming the entire time as I explain to her what seems to have happened to her ship and her crew. And I kind of explained to her that she died thousands of years ago when her ship crashed into this into the earth, I guess. I don't know. And as I'm explaining to her, she slowly becomes more quiet, and then she kind of calms down, and she stops screaming. And she becomes more aware, and then she seems to like kind of remember who she is and what happened and why she's there. And she seems to be thankful to me, and now she seems to be at peace. And then I kind of say goodbye to her, and then we get out of there. We leave the mound. What's really creepy about this dream is when I woke up and I wrote it all down, I decided to look up what a banshee was. And the first thing I came to, it said that in like Irish folklore, the banshee was the fairy of the mound. And that like creeped me out so bad. I was like shaking. I was like, no way, I can't even. But then it went in to explain that, how the banshee comes to warn of a death in the family or something like that. Which then I was like, nope, I'm done. I don't want to read any more about this. Which I don't personally think that that's what that was. Maybe more of the death of a part of myself. I don't know.
Yeah, that is some dream. Now, can you know what was the relationship in time to the dream you had before, which was just crazy?
So the dream I had before was a couple weeks before I had this dream. So I had that dream I had before, maybe a week and a half before I told it to you guys. And then a few days after I told you guys of that dream, I had this dream.
Yeah, well, it's we're going to go on. I just wanted to show you one picture here. This is it's let's see. There we go. Just share. Okay, that's New Grange. It has a stone door.
Oh yes, yeah. It looked a lot like that, except for it was almost like it was sideways. So the mound was like halfway up and the rest was underground.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
so it was a lot like that.
Yeah, and it's just a very mysterious purpose. Again, thousands of years old. It's
Right.
very related to Stonehenge. And I just wanted to show you too one other thing here. It's the there's this wonderful. Let's see, there we go. Okay, come on. There we go. See if I can make it bigger. Oh, can't make it any bigger. But this is the door to New Grange.
I love that. I love the spirals.
Yeah. So that's this stone door into this mound, which
Don't you want to just go in there?
Yes, I mean anybody would, and I mean I was just very excited as you were telling the story. By the way, I didn't get everybody a chance to sum up Gary's dream. Well, we'll do that next time, Gary. Too, don't you think? We'll have one more day to look at it. Oh shoot! Lost my glasses. Oh, here they are. Okay. All right. So now, first of all, we're by the ocean, right?
Yeah, like the ocean is right there.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so we're facing the beach, we're facing the ocean, and then right there on the shore to our left is the mound.
Yeah. So very near the unconscious, there's also the chthonic world. Okay. The underground world. Now the male was on the right and the female was on the left, or is it the other way?
Yeah, yes. And they kind of stayed that way until we got, up to the very tip of the spaceship, the point of the egg. And then he continued on to the right side without me. He left and went in there.
Yeah, well, they won't, and so then anyway, you you see this giant mound with the door of stone, and if you go through the way most people go through, there's a penalty, and it's forbidden. But you found a secret entrance that's not really known to consciousness, so. It's a one that is a secret entrance. It's not not the general entrance. It's the secret entrance. Okay, and then you go in that, and there's now a room with a huge amount of gold coins. So this would tell us usually that this is the realm of the treasure hard to attain. Or there's an aspect of it that it possesses a lot of psychic energy. There's an unlimited amount of psychic energy here. And so then you go down a long hallway to the left, and you find out that this inside of the underground world has a celestial quality. It has a celestial quality. It has the stars are here as well. So the realm of the stars is here, as well as the being underground. So it's just how did the celestial world get here? Well, it got here thousands of years ago. Now, so anyway, it's then there are some beds on there, and you find what you would really say would be mummified corpses, correct?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, and they are blue skinned, and that's because that's apparently their natural color. The celestial beings are blue. Okay. With black hair that goes over their face. Okay. And she's curled up, and you keep going. Now, there's only 2 mummified corpses here, right?
Yes. The rest of the beds were empty.
And one at the end. Yeah, the rest of the beds are empty. Okay, so there's one at the end. She seems more beautiful, and she's almost looks like she's alive. So we continue to the right, and things get blurry, and then the male goes on. So our dream ego got disoriented, wasn't sure what was going on. And so anyway, the male figure goes into this giant cafeteria, this place where nourishment is served. Now, here are some blue people that, are they alive or are they walking zombies or something?
Right. I feel like they must be some sort of zombie or almost like a ghost type of
Ghost.
creature.
Yeah,
But they
yeah,
have bodies. So I
they
don't know.
have bodies.
I feel like they don't realize that they're dead, but they're dead.
Right. Okay. So anyway, the celestial people in the underground realm are this is really it's the realm of the dead. Really, I mean, it's the realm of the celestial dead are in this underground uh, realm of the dead, but they don't seem to know they're dead. Now, you know, so usually in the realm of the dead, they are have a life there. They're only dead in the upper world, but in the lower world, they're still conscious and moving around. But what we saw initially were corpses, you know, but they seem to have ability to have a life in the underground realm. So anyway, now the blue people wanted to fight him and your male companion, and he returns. So then you go see this bed where there was this mummified corpse, and there's nothing. She's gone. What? She
Yes.
got up.
And I know she's alive because
Yeah, she's
she
walking.
moved.
Yeah, that would
which
be
isn't cool.
startling. It's very startling. Okay, so then you see her coming, and she is the woman of the mound. She's a banshee. And they usually are announcing something about the realm of the dead, according to, we're going by what you read about her.
Right.
Yeah, and now you do a very conscious thing in this dream. This is amazing reaction of the dream ego. Is you're not startled by this screaming figure. You try to calm her down. You put your hand on her in compassion, and and then you tell her that she's this celestial being that crashed here long ago, died thousands of years ago, and doesn't know it. So now suddenly this information has brought her humanity out. I mean, and so now she doesn't scream so much because this consciousness that you lent her, the dream ego lent this just out of control being in the unconscious, made her more conscious. And now she seems to be more human, or she is that amount of knowledge assisted her in orienting herself.
Yeah,
And
she found herself, and then she was at peace.
yes, she's at peace. Okay, and then so normally we would think that this inner aspect of us, this woman of the mound, she has a quality of that she's the celestial being. There's something missing in the celestial world. The celestial world's in the realm of the dead, and it's been here for many, many thousands of years ago. We're gonna have to think about that. Okay, but anyway, that is I'm just reeling right now. Again, I almost need 2 or 3 days sometimes to fathom all this. I mean, because it starts to work on me, and I think about it and think about it. What do you think, Roy?
Wow. Yeah, that is just spectacular that she wasn't scared and she realized these people were dead. And she told the woman, and the woman shared into consciousness where she understood. That's even more spectacular, because usually when you tell a dead person that, they don't really respond. I mean, all I can say, it's like Van Morrison's song, you stoned me just like a jelly roll. I mean, I'm just stoned on this one. I don't know what to say. It's just awesome.
It is. And now this one preceded the dream before. Is that right, Sarah?
The dream before, yeah. Yes, I had it a little bit
Precede.
after the dream before.
Okay, you had it a little bit after the dream before.
Yes.
Okay.
A few days after I told you,
Wow.
guys, my last dream, I had this dream.
Wow, this is amazing. I mean, it's just as I just say, Sarah, your dreams are, and Dawn too. I think both of your dreams are just extraordinary. I can say that about Charles too, and Carl and all of us. But I'm that's just what I'm feeling. What do you think, Gary?
Wow, what a dream. So, I mean, we start off next to the unconscious, and we see the catonic world, which normally we don't have access to, but hey, there's the hole. So she takes it. So she goes in. There's, it's a place of riches. That's the first message. This is a good place to go. And then, but she's not just interested in the riches. She wants to know what the problems are. So she proceeds into the place of the future. I mean, the spaceship, in a way, it's a place of a future. And there she finds, the blue people, which again, we suspect are aspects of herself, and yet aspects which are unaware, that have been asleep for a very long time, and that and that when one does come awake, it's in full-blown panic mode, but she's able to bring it to consciousness, which is like, wow, that's like, she's able to calm it and bring it to consciousness. Now, the parts of this that I don't have figured out at all yet is that, she has, a male and a female aspect. I don't know if this is anima and animus, I'm not sure, but the male aspect causes issues. The male aspect upsets things in this world and has to retreat. So it could be like the male aspect is not what's needed down here. I mean, maybe that's like the message, that maybe it has to be the more feminine, or that the masculine has to be controlled in this area. But yeah, and that's all I have. But wow, what a dream.
It is. I think. What do you think, Charles? I was going to say something. I forgot.
Well, it's really cool to begin with. I mean, the imagery is just like super awesome. I like that. There's this door saying, can't enter under, penalty, kind of keep out type deal. And I think finding the hole to get through, I think that symbolizes that you have your own unique and personal way of contacting the unconscious. And yeah, I mean, I think the dream just demonstrates a curiosity, genuine curiosity and care towards the unconscious, and the ability to care for it. And yeah, I think that the kind of imagery of the ancient spaceship is I don't know, pretty wild. It's just a pretty wild selection of imagery to use. And yeah, I think I don't have a whole lot of conclusive stuff towards it, but it's really impressive in the way that I think it demonstrates a lot of curiosity and ability to care for the unconscious side of yourself.
Mm.
So
The
it's
part
really
of me
cool.
that is scary, the scary part, I guess, maybe. Feel like I have to add that almost my whole life, like as a child, I had a nightmare almost every night, and I was always being chased. Almost every single night, I was being chased in my dreams by something. And it's new for me to not run away, to not run, instead to face it and try to see what it needs. Why is it chasing me? Why is it upset at me?
Yeah, in dreams that works every time. If you will, if something is chasing you, because it's usually, it's the hounds of heaven, you know, who are chasing you. If you turn to face them, then they're not threatening anymore. And so that's one of the aspects of nightmares, that they're asking us to participate. I mean, in an urgent fashion. I mean, what is it going to take us to get your attention? The thing I was going to say before I sort of spaced out was the deeply mythological motifs in here, and the previous stream too, with the inexhaustible pig and everything, is it's just I can see why the unconscious would pursue you and demand your attention, because it is unbelievably eloquent and informed about all the myths of the whole world, and it doesn't seem to have any reluctance to bring those up to you. How old are you, Sarah? I shouldn't ask, but
I'm 36.
36. Yeah, well, that's kind of the middle way, at the midpoint of life. I'm walking through a perilous wood, and the straight ways are gone now. It's that is, but these dreams are just, in other words, one of the wonderful qualities of all these dreams is the dream makers are so eloquent, and who are they? I mean, and we're encountering them, and it's just like, they're just they are such wonderful beings, and I see these beings like the character of Roy's dream maker, and the character of Gary's dream maker, and the character of Dawn's, and Charles and Carl. I think we lost Charles. I don't know what happened, but anyway, they're just it just has a beautiful character. Dawn, also next time. Oh, Charles did have to leave. Dawn, we're next time we'll finish Charles and Gary's dream, and then we'll try to go into Sarah's in depth. Um, and because Sarah, we haven't even touched the surface of this dream yet. Carl, did you have any comments on Sarah's dream? Did you get to hear it?
Yeah, I heard most of it. Nothing beyond what was mentioned. It's really beautiful, though. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. So, Sarah, if you can type it up. I don't know. Is this because I'm lazy, but I need a day to sleep on it, But
That's how I am with every dream.
Yes. I mean, if I don't sleep on it, I don't get it really. I mean, I need to incubate it. But anyway,
Definitely.
let's just sum it up. So Dawn and Carl, if you can get dreams prepared for sometime next week, that'd be great. But anyway, let's just go over it. We'll go over it just really quickly one more time. Okay. We're near the unconscious. Near the unconscious is the chthonic realm. There's a stone door that goes into this ancient burial mound that's like related to the Druids or to Stonehenge or to some, the cave painters. It has this unbelievably ancient quality to it, which is one side's is the ocean of the unconscious. On the other side is the deep realm of the mythical world of the ancestors, because of those spirals on the front of the door. There's just this aspect of it. I really do think
it's very ancient.
Yeah, this really does seem like New Grange or one of those great mounds in Britain.
Yes, and that's
Yeah.
what it felt like at the beginning of the dream, and that's why we were so shocked that it was a crashed spaceship. Because
Yeah.
wow.
Well, and the spaceship though is thousands of years old, but it really spaceship I don't think captures the import of the fact that celestial beings are now in the depths, in the underground. So the stars, I think they represent really the stars. The stars have moved into an underground capacity. So the realm of the upper realms and the lower realms have united, but in the process, the celestial realm is dead and doesn't know it. So the celestial realm has been killed by its crashing in to the underground realm, but it seems to still have some kind of something still kicking there, But now the idea here is that we're almost like our own redeemer, we're going down there. It's full of gold everywhere, psychic energy. And now we seem to be the saving thing. Who is the saving thing? We are the saving thing, we're the ones that the key to the dream is to make the dead celestial realm that resides in the underground realm more conscious. And when it becomes more conscious, it is now something
At
that we
peace.
can communicate. Yes, but it is at peace, but it's also something now that we can dialogue with. Before we couldn't dialogue with it because it was so unconscious. It was in
Right.
such a
And now I'm
form.
communicating. Yeah.
Yeah, it couldn't communicate with us because it would just scream, at us. So, did Roy or Gary, do you have any final comments about it?
No,
Go
I
ahead.
think it's interesting, that idea of the crashing of the celestial realm into the chthonic one. Like, oh yeah, wow, that's like, what a thought.
Well, that I think would be closer to the mentality of the dream maker. What do you think, Roy?
It's just incredible. She's passed out in a dream. You're passed out in a dream. You're not able to make very good decisions because you don't know that you're really dreaming. And she's able to make the exact decisions you're supposed to tell the dead person they're not dead. And she's able to move that consciousness into the dead person where they can respond. And she's passed out. She's asleep. She's not lucid. It just stoned me. It's just perfect. I don't know how she did it, but if she ever needs anybody else to go on an expedition, she's put a wanted sign out. I'll put me on the list. I'm going with Sarah. I can do this.
Yeah. Sarah, I'm wondering too, you don't have to, you can't type it up or anything. Could you just maybe take a phone photo of it if it's handwritten?
Right.
Yeah. And just send us the the photos.
I will
It's
type it up tonight and I can send
Okay.
it in an email.
perfect. Okay.
Cool.
Well, we got a lot of work out ahead of us because we've got to sum up Gary's dream. I had Ivan's dream already to sum up, and then we'll work on Charles. You know, I can just say so much about it in one night. I mean, then I think we need to rest and then come back to it, you know, because otherwise
Definitely. So we have so many dreams we're juggling around right now.
I don't know about everybody else, but I get a thrill out of every one of them, and I'm
Oh, I
learning.
love it.
Yes, I'm learning from that too. Okay, well, we'll work on those 3 dreams next time, and then Dawn and Carl and Roy too. If you guys have any dreams next time, let's get those ready for us. You too, Dawn. You're one of you have the best dreams so far of anybody almost. I love them. But anyway, we'll see you guys all next time then.
Thank you all.
Okay.
See you
Yeah,
soon.
have a good weekend. Okay. Bye now.